All right, let's dive right into this explainer. We're looking at what might literally be the most massive, most expensive disconnect in the modern business world right now. The giant, gaping chasm between corporate AI expectations and the rather harsh reality unfolding around us. We are talking about a phenomenon dubbed the AI stupidity paradox, where the endless pursuit of extreme efficiency has led some of the smartest companies to make some incredibly short-sighted decisions. Let's get into it. 57,000. Yeah, you heard that right. That staggering number is exactly how many corporate employees Amazon laid off since 2022 to make way for AI efficiencies. They let all these people go, even as they were simultaneously preparing to drop an unbelievable $200 billion on AI infrastructure by 2026. The conventional logic seemed super simple, right? Buy the AI, fire the humans, save an absolute fortune. But, well, as we're going to see, that equation was totally broken. And honestly, this quote right here brilliantly illustrates the massive backpedal we're seeing. Shortly after that huge wave of layoffs, Matt Garman, the CEO of Amazon's own cloud division, desperately announced plans to rehire 11,000 entry-level workers and interns. He really didn't mince words, literally calling the replacement of junior developers with AI one of the dumbest things I've ever heard. Amazon realized pretty quickly that you can't just delete your human workforce without the whole system eventually exploding on itself. So, moving into Section 1, the great AI layoff mistake, and why replacing humans simply didn't work. Check out this shocking May 2026 study by Gartner. They surveyed senior executives at massive billion-dollar companies, and the results? Pretty grim. 80% of organizations that piloted or deployed AI reduced their workforce. But here's the kicker. They saw absolutely zero correlation with increased return on investment. None. They fired the people, they bought the AI, but the profits just didn't rise. The supposed cost savings vanished into thin air. Which brings us to Section 2, why AI is actually stupid and the reality of language models. To understand why those profits stayed flat, we really have to look at how we completely misunderstand how these language models actually operate. You see, AI doesn't just pull facts from some magical, reliable database of truth. When it answers you, it's basically just predicting the most statistically likely next word based on its training data. And that leads to what researchers call AI hallucination. Basically, the AI spits out answers that sound incredibly confident, perfectly structured, but are just completely factually wrong. It's essentially guessing, making up plausible-sounding lies. And look, this isn't just a rare one-off bug. It is a core feature of the technology. Look at these real error rates from 2026. Even with the absolute best tools available, flying solo with AI is a massive risk. Claude currently has the lowest hallucination rate at 3%. ChatGPT and Gemini hover around a 6% actual error rate for specific tasks. But on a broader scale, despite ChatGPT having the highest overall accuracy at about 60%, that still leaves a nearly 40% chance of error in general outputs. I mean, think about it. Would you trust a human employee who is confidently wrong 40% of the time? Probably not. That leads directly into Section 3, the human oversight paradox, which is a massive hidden financial drain. So Wharton research revealed this completely counterintuitive, really brutal paradox. You'd think better AI means cheaper operations, right? Well, actually no. Because modern AI rarely fails, say only 3% of the time, humans have to spend these exhausting, mind-numbing hours reviewing work that's almost always correct just to catch that one catastrophic, dangerous error. And guess what? Vigilance isn't free. Paying humans to maintain that intense level of concentration to spot rare errors requires highly skilled, highly compensated managers. Yes, for sure, AI brings incredible speed and 24/7 operation without ever getting tired. But as we can see here, those pros are heavily weighed down by the cons. You've got persistent error rates anywhere from 3 to 40%, a complete lack of cultural context, and an absolute inability to learn from real mistakes. So if you want a system running around the clock, you absolutely cannot just leave it to cheap junior workers. You have to hire highly paid, vigilant managers to constantly watch for those critical failures. Actually, scratch that whole saving on wages idea. You haven't eliminated wages at all, you've just shifted them to a much more expensive tier. All right, Section 4, Real Failures and Surprising Successes, a Tale of Two Companies. This stark contrast really tells the whole story. Let's look at Klarna in early 2024. They rushed in, replaced 700 customer service workers with an AI assistant. And the result? Total disaster.
They suffered severe customer churn because the AI just couldn't handle complex cases requiring empathy. They actually had to awkwardly bring human agents back. But then, look at IKEA. They took a totally different route. Their AI handled 47% of basic queries, but instead of firing the freed-up staff, IKEA brilliantly retrained 8,500 agents to be interior design consultants. By shifting their human talent to higher-value creative work, IKEA brought in over 1.3 billion euros in new revenue, a total game changer.
When we track this timeline from 2022 to 2026, you start to see this really tragic cycle emerge. Companies keep falling for the hype, laying people off, and only realizing the operational damage way later. It starts with ChatGPT launching in November 2022, moves through Klarna's failed 700-person replacement, all the way to that 2026 Gartner study proving no profit correlation and Amazon desperately trying to rehire. Yet, amazingly, companies like Cloudflare were still laying off over 1,000 people under the guise of an AI strategy as late as June 2026. The cycle of mistakes just keeps spinning. And that brings us to Section 5, the dying talent pipeline, and how we are sacrificing our future experts. These stats from the Stanford HAI 2026 AI Index are honestly just devastating. We are looking at a 20% drop in employment for young developers aged 22 to 25. Software development job postings have plummeted 53% since late 2022. We've seen nearly 88,000 AI-related job cuts recorded through May 2026. And the reason? AI is eating up all the boilerplate code, routine bug fixes, and basic operations. You know, the exact routine tasks that junior workers traditionally use to learn the ropes, make their mistakes, and grow their skills. The fatal flaw here is so incredibly short-sighted. Companies are cutting junior roles today, betting they can just hire experienced talent later. But if corporations eliminate all those entry-level learning roles right now just to save a quick buck, there simply won't be any experienced senior managers available to oversee these complex AI systems tomorrow. I mean, you can't just spawn a senior engineer out of thin air. They have to learn somehow. Right now, recent computer science grads are facing around a 6% unemployment rate and are actually having more trouble finding jobs than humanities majors. The pipeline is literally being boarded up. Okay, moving to our final segment, Section 6, the hybrid human AI future and finding the right balance. So what's the fix? Well, the most successful path forward, like we saw with IKEA, is a hybrid model built on a few really clear principles. Number one, use AI to augment humans, not replace them. Always keep a highly trained human expert strictly in the loop for critical systems to provide that contextual judgment. Instead of firing redundant workers, retrain them to unlock entirely new revenue streams. You absolutely have to vigorously maintain your junior talent pipeline so you actually have experts down the road. And finally, calculate the real costs, the expense of human oversight, the errors, and the lost customers. Ultimately, as we wrap up this explainer, you really have to look at all this data and ask yourself one final, absolutely critical question. Are these corporations actually cutting costs and innovating, or have they just blindly traded the future of their workforce for an army of incredibly expensive AI babysitters? It's a massive paradox, and we're going to have to navigate it very, very carefully in the years to come. Thanks for joining me on this deep dive, and keep questioning the hype.